Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Healing Herbal Salves Masterclass. My name is Allison, and I am from the Well Cultivated Life. And wintertime is pretty tough on our skin. And so I thought people really need to get some help, usually this time of year. And so here I am presenting a masterclass on the basics of herbal healing salves. Now, what I'm going to do today is just share sort of the basic formula for creating these skincare products that are going to be really helpful for keeping your skin healthy all of the winter long and even during the other times of year. So, thank you so much for joining me here for this live program. And I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in to the into the content. If you are watching live, feel free to say hello in the comments. This is streaming a couple different places, so I'll be able to see where you're commenting from. So again, my name is Allison from the Well Cultivated Life. I'm an herbalist, and I have been able to avoid purchasing a lot of products for many years now because I make my own herbal products. I grow a lot of my own herbs. I barter with other friends who grow herbs, and I get things from farmers. And I also make all my own products. And this is one of my favorite things to do. And if you've been on any of my other programs before, you know that I'm always like in the kitchen brewing up something. Yeah, it drives my family crazy, but you know what? I got my shelf over here. Don't touch my stuff on this shelf. This is my herbal brew area. Um, so anyway, thanks for joining me. And I wanted to jump right in to tell you just a little bit about uh, herbal salves and what they are, why they're useful, and how you can learn to make them yourselves. So, welcome to the master class on skincare essentials. And let's start out with this word salve. Now, I probably should have said, instead of saying hello and welcome, I should have said salve, because salve is a greeting. I don't know if it's still used in Italy or not, but it is a Latin term and it means to be well. And I just absolutely love this, meaning so be well would be a great way to greet somebody. And so again, this is also what the salves are for. They're a healing compound that are used on the skin. And in American English, we don't say the L, we say salve, but in British English, it is pronounced. So salve might not, isn't necessarily an incorrect pronunciation. So there are different choices of how you can say it, whatever works for you. But the most important part is, what are these and why do we want to have them as an essential part of our herbal home apothecary? Now, let's start a little bit with our skin and skincare and why skincare is just so incredibly important. And it's because our skin is amazing. And what happens is that we tend to, especially as women, will take really good care of our face, do all these things to it, to wash it and tone it and all of these things. But we don't necessarily pay such close attention to the rest of our skin. Now, our skin, of course, is a sense organ. It senses heat and cold and pressure and texture, pain and pleasure, both. And it also plays an important role in the immune system. It's the first line of defense against germs coming onto us, and it has natural properties for immune defense. It also, of course, covers and protects all our other organs. If we didn't have skin, we would just be a big blob on the floor, right? We can release toxins through our skin through perspiration. It's where vitamin D is actually synthesized on our skin. which makes me, all this, we're all vitamin D deficient and we're all using sunblocks all the time. Maybe we should rethink our sunblock addiction here in this country. It also has melanin, which not only determines your skin color, but that's also something that helps to block the uh, ultraviolet rays. So our skin is incredibly important and we need to take good care of it. Now, what is your skincare routine and what are you putting on your skin every day? Oops, it says $150. It's supposed to just say 150 to 500 chemicals. Well, you're probably spending $150 a month on these chemicals. Most women put between 150 to 500 chemicals on their body every day, between shampoo and conditioners and makeup and lotions, and each of those contains 10 to 12 to 15 to who knows how many different chemicals in it. So what I'm going to show you today is something that has only needs to have two ingredients. That's the salves. And there are other things you can add to it. But if you're just joining, be sure to say hello in the chat and let me know where you're watching from. So we can put a lot of nasty stuff on our skin. And as you saw, the skin is such an important organ. It is our largest organ, and we need to take good care of it. So today we'll talk about, how do I make a salve? Now, what exactly is a salve anyway, and what could I use it for that's different than these other products that I can get in the, in the drugstore, for example. So salves, as you might imagine, can be used for just general dry skin, diaper rash. When my boys were little, I had all my baby boo-boo salve that I used, which worked awesome for any diaper rash that they got. Chapped lips, something I love to make my own lip balms. It's also, depending on the formula, these all depend on what you're putting into it. It can be for sunburn, eczema, and general wound healing as well. So a salve can take the place of something like a bacitracin or one of these other types of first aid products that you might buy. It can also be used for extracting slivers and pulling things out, damaged, pussy-filled infections, minor infections on your skin as well. It can be used depending on what you put in it. It can be used for nerve damaged areas. So very, if you have you ever shut your finger in the window, right? Things like that. Different types of salves can be used to help heal these nerve damaged areas. Depending on what you put in it, you can also use it for skin tags or other sorts of, warts or whatever the different types of things that grow out of our skin, especially as we get older. So what exactly is a salve and how is it different from a lotion? So a salve is pretty much 100% oil based, whereas a lotion is oil and water mixed together. And the thing that's so nice about just using an oil based product is, first of all, it absorbs well into your skin. And second of all, it's a lot more shelf stable than homemade lotions. And homemade lotions are incredible and luscious and delicious, but a lot of times, or not a lot of times, they have a very short shelf life, 2 months. I keep mine in the refrigerator because I've had problems with them molding before. So salves are just so nice because you really don't have to worry about mold or anything like that. They're very easy to make. So a salve is basically an oil plus some kind of thickener. And the most commonly used one, of course, is beeswax. And again, it can be used for prevention, for healing damaged skin, and all those other things that I showed you on the previous slide. Now, other words that are used would be some people call them balms, like lip balm, right? Or ointment. Ointment, a lot of times will have more of a uh, petroleum based oil or a mineral oil in it, which you really don't want to be putting on your skin. Now, lotions again are oil plus water. So you're forcing oil and water together to make the lotion. And there's a lot more ingredient in a lotion, and it's a little bit more complicated to make. It is wonderful for moisturizing because most herbal homemade lotions include aloe, which is an awesome thing to put on your skin. And another word for that, of course, is a cream. And a lotion versus a cream really is just, well, how thick is it? Okay. That is the difference between that. But today I'm really going to focus just on talking to you about salves because they are one of the easiest things to make. Now, as an herbalist, it's basically an oil, and I'm going to show you. I got an example of a bunch of stuff over here. I'll show you in a little bit. It's an oil, and then you add the beeswax to make it thick so that it creates a nice, thick, uh, semi-solid paste almost that you can rub on your skin. And it's very concentrated, and you don't need a whole lot. This is a comfrey salve. It's got some lavender essential oil in it. And this, especially comfrey, which you don't use for a whole lot of different things, this could last me 1 to 2 years. Okay. So if you're going to be making salves, you're going to make sure that you're going to want to give some away because you're going to end up making way more than you could ever possibly use yourself. So let's see here. What else do I want to? Oh, so one of the things, so if you go to a lot of these like make your own skincare books and things like that, what you'll see often is that you'll have an oil. And again, I'll go through the different oils for you. And then you'll have some kind of essential oil to give you the healing properties that you want in the salve or lotion that you're making. And when as an herbalist or as a person, most of the people that watch my shows, they're really interested in creating their own um, herbal apothecary. That's really important to have your sort of your toolkit of herbal things in your pantry. And so the key ingredient that is different as the way that an herbalist would make a salve is an herbalist would start with what's called an herbally infused oil. And so what that means is that you're taking an oil, a liquid oil like an olive oil is commonly used, and you're soaking and submerging a plant, usually a flower, sometimes a leaf, into the oil and letting it sit and infuse for an extended period of time so that all the properties of that plant go into the oil. Now you've got this super potentized oil to make your salve with, as opposed to just adding some essential oils on the kind of at the end, right? And for better or worse, I found an oil. Let's see if hopefully you can see this. So this is a comfrey leaf and flower in olive and sunflower oil blend. Okay. So I had put this together in July. Probably should have filtered this by now, but it got lost in my cupboard. So as you can see in here, I've basically just submerged the comfrey leaf into the oil and I've let it sit for an extended period of time. You don't usually need to let it sit for however long it's been, 6 months or something like that. And then I'm just simply going to filter this out, add my beeswax, and I'll have my salve. So creating the infused oil is a relatively simple step. And there are different kinds of plants that have different properties. So in order to make an infused oil, and down here I have calendula, which is one of the best skin herbs. You're going to just choose some kind of either edible oil, olive oil, sunflower, avocado are the three big ones that people usually use, Or you can use what I just call beauty oils like jojoba oil, apricot oil, or almond oil. And each of these have, a slightly different use and a different property that you would so you would choose it based on what kind of property you wanted that oil to have. And then you're going to add dry herbs and kind of steep it for 4 weeks. And the traditional way of doing this is to just take it and put it in a sunny window and let the sun do its work. Now, it's winter here. And so a nice warm sunny window isn't always that common this time of year. And so another way that you can infuse your oils is to just either heat it up in a double boiler or put it in a jar with a lid and stick it in a crock pot and let that sit for 2 or 3 days and just let the warmed oil pull out all of the oil-based ingredients in that plant, and it goes into the oil. And then you just simply strain it through the cheesecloth and store it. And you always want to store your oils in a dark place because they are light sensitive. So now you've got this amazing infused oil, and that's what you're going to be able to use to make your salves from. And like I said earlier, the salve is simply a oil and a thickener, most commonly beeswax. And I kind of got carried away one time, and I decided to buy an entire pound of beeswax. I have had this block that I've been working away on. Love the smell of beeswax. So this is a big block of beeswax that you can use to make your salve. And you can also buy it in 1 ounce little bars. It's much more manageable. Don't get the whole 1 pound because you only need like a half a bar to make a batch of oil. You really don't need that much in order to thicken up your salve properly. Now, some people like to use these beeswax pellets, and frankly, I don't like them. If you've seen any of my shows before, I'm always saying how I don't like them. But I have these around. One time I couldn't get them. So it's just pelletized beeswax. It doesn't have the nice honey, sweet, amazing smell to it that I love so much. But they are super easy to use and they melt really fast. So some people really like those. If you were doing commercial production, you'd probably just get the pellets and they melt fast and you're ready to go. So the basic steps for making your salve is simply just to melt the beeswax in the oil, pour it into your containers. Now, there are a lot of other ingredients that you can use to make different luscious skin products that are related to a salve. And so I wanted to share some of those with you. Now, I call these body butters just because butter's yummy and yummy on your body, and all of these additional things that you can add to your liquid oil can give you just different properties and different ingredients and different benefits for your skin. So I've got some of these here. Coconut oil, a great one. It's not always solid at room temperature, so it's something to bear in mind. It's one of those ones that kind of goes back and forth between solid and liquid, depending on the air temperature. Cacao butter is very hard and solid at room temperature. Shea butter is another commonly used beauty product, and that is solid at room temperature. So these cacao, shea, and beeswax can be substituted in for some. The cacao and shea can be substituted in for the beeswax and as one of your thickeners. Now, the other thing that I always add to my salves and lotions are essential oils. And again, not only do those have their own healing properties, but they also smell really good. And then the last ingredient is vitamin E. And the importance of vitamin E is that it acts as a preservative. It helps to prevent the oils from going rancid. If you've ever found an old oil sitting somewhere in the back of your cupboard and opened it up, you know full well how bad it can smell and how rancid it can go. So let me just show you a few more of these things here. These are some of the oils that I like to use. I like them because I can just get them in my grocery store, but they're high quality. Let's turn it so you can see what it is. This brand is called La Tourangelle. That's a French, apparently. And there's the avocado and sunflower oil. Now, the sunflower is an organic version, and the avocado is non GMO. And one of the things I didn't mention earlier is that anything that you put on your skin goes right into your bloodstream. So, this is why, like the organic versions and the quality products and staying away from chemicals is really, really important. Especially as I said earlier, we put so many things between our hair and our skin and our face and our, soaps and all this stuff that we're putting so many different things on our skin every day, and it's all getting absorbed. So we have to be really mindful about what we're choosing to put on our skin. Now, and of course, I've got an olive oil here. Some of the other liquid oils that you can use, again, are these. This is an apricot oil. And then this is the jojoba oil. And again, whenever possible, see how small these are? You do not need to get huge jars of things. You only need a very small amount to make a very big amount of salve for the amount that you need for a year, right? So lastly, I've got some just coconut oil. Again, I just got this at my grocery store. It's certified organic, refined, virgin, unrefined, and cold pressed. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was refined versus unrefined. Well, what does that actually mean? And in some situations, you do want things that are refined. It's more like raw honey versus cooked honey. It's the same kind of idea. So a refined oil is going to be more highly processed, but it's also may take out some of the things that you don't want. Now, one of the last things I'm going to show you is shea butter. And this is I got this at my local, natural food store. And this says unscented, and it's also unrefined. And it's just like a big, thick, very thick stuff, but spreadable. And in the past, when I've used shea butter, it smelled really bad. It was not refined, and it had a very strong scent. And it does have a strong smell, and it can overwhelm the other scents that you are putting in your essential oils and so on. So really think about whether you want to use a refined versus an unrefined oil. For coconut oil, the unrefined smells like coconut. So if you like the smell of coconuts, then you would want to use the unrefined. If you don't want too strong of a smell of coconut, then you would go with the refined coconut oil. So these are some of the things to consider when you're looking at the types of oils that you want to get. And let's see here. So let's talk about a few of the types of plants. Those are the ingredients pretty much. Oh, and there's also the cacao butter. And I have found that depending on the brand you get, in general, I like this brand, the Navitas. They have a high quality. But I also had gotten some from this place called Wildly Organic. And it was the smell, was so much more chocolatey smelling. And I made it into, is this the one? This most luscious chocolate flavored cacao. Well, this is what I call a body butter, by blending in some of these other ingredients and not just using an oil plus beeswax. And the chocolate smell, I'm like putting it on my face and everything because it's just so luscious and yummy. And especially this time of year when we're all just craving soothing and moisture. I live in New Hampshire, and we're about to get like 6 to 10 inches of snow tonight. So then I'm diving into my salves and butters to keep my skin healthy and keep them from getting dehydrated. They give a nice protective layer. So what kinds of plants can I make an infused oil out of? In the wintertime, when I can't just go out and harvest, in my yard? Well, I have rosemary growing upstairs in my living room. I could cut some rosemary. I have some beautiful calendula that I dried, and I could put some calendula into oil and infuse some calendula. I could go out and get some white pine. This is dried. I had this for part of my holiday decorations. This is dried, but you could go out and get some fresh cut evergreens. Be careful what you're harvesting, though, because some evergreens are okay and some are not. Pines in general are okay. And I'm actually going to be infusing an oil with some of these cayenne peppers that I made this summer. Now, you might be thinking, wow, rosemary and cayenne pepper, can't I just cook with those? Of course you can. So if you make a huge batch of infused oils and you make a little bit into a salve, and then you can just cook with the rest of it. And that's really important because these oils only have about a 1-year shelf life. This is again the reason why I'm telling you, don't make a huge batch. You really don't need that much. So we talked about the ingredients. We talked about how to make the infused oils. How do we actually put together a salve and end up with something like this beautiful spreadable healing salve that everybody should have in their apothecary. And it's, again, very basic. So, salve making steps. You warm up your oil in a double boiler. You're not going to put your oil directly on the onto the burner. You will just burn it. You are not going to heat up your oil in the microwave. You need to use a double boiler. And what that means is you're basically warming it over water. Or you can make your salve and melt your beeswax in a crock pot. I've done that before when I had when I was teaching a class to some kids, and I didn't want to bring a burner in there, but it takes a long time to melt beeswax in a crock pot. So I highly recommend using your stove and a double boiler. And then you just basically add the amount of beeswax that you want until it's melted and stir it up in there. While it's melting, you're going to prepare your tins and you put your drops of essential oil and any vitamin E that you're going to use. It's usually just one of those little capsules you can break open, or you can buy vitamin E, liquid vitamin E as well, and just put in a few drops in each tin. And then once it's been melted and stirred around, then you're just going to pour it into your tin. And because this is warm, you want to make sure that it cools completely before you put a cap on it. What I will usually do is I will just pour, I've got my tins out, right? I'll pour it in. I'll let it sort of crust over. That sounds gross. I'll let it solidify on top. And then what I'll do is I'll let it cool completely. I'll lay a paper towel or some other kind of cloth over it so it's not sealing in any moisture. That's really important. You want it to cool and to let any kind of heat come off before you put the lid on. And that is basically it. Those are the steps to making these healing salves. So, how many of you have actually made your own salves before? It seems intimidating in some ways, but if you're here, you're probably like, this is good. You're being proactive. You want to learn these things. And so I wanted to let you know that this is really kind of like an introduction to let you know what you need to do. And if you would like some help learning how to make these salves yourself, I am going to be offering a workshop starting the 4th. Got to slide in here somewhere. Healing Herbal Salves workshop, and it's going to be $47 for a 2-part workshop. And basically, I love doing these. It's a hybrid workshop. I love doing these. I'll have some people that are going to be coming over here live, and we'll be demonstrating, and we'll be going through all the steps for not only learning to make a salve, but also how to do the infused oils. So part one is preparing these ingredients. This uh, masterclass here is your introduction to the ingredients that you need. And I also have a supply list, of course, that you'll get when you sign up for the class. So we'll go through on, this is February 4th, so it's a Saturday afternoon. I'm on Eastern time. It's from 1 to 4, or 1 to 3 on the first day and 1 to 4 the second day. So on February 4th, what we'll do is we'll go through your supplies and ingredients. We'll figure out, well, what herbs do you want to use for your skin type or for whatever types of conditions you might want to be treating with salves. Then we'll start these herb infused oils. We're going to do the rapid method, the water bath method, you could call it, so that we can get those done in the course of 2 weeks. So we'll heat them, and then we'll let them continue to infuse until we come back on the 18th and make our salves. So these are hands-on workshops. This is what makes my programs different from a pre-recorded class. We're on Zoom. I'm in my kitchen. We're making stuff. You're asking questions and checking in with you. And we'll start on the second day. We're going to strain out our oils. We'll figure out what formulas you're going to use, make your custom blend, and then we'll make your salves. So if you are interested in this workshop, you can go to this here, herbalyinspired.com, herbal-salve, and I'll put the link down below. So I thank you so much, or should I say salve, be well. Thank you for joining me for this master class. I hope you got some great tips and ideas for creating your own herbal salves and keeping your skin healthy, not only by using herbal products, but also by being able to get rid of some of those not so healthy, potentially toxic drugstore products. So take care of everyone, and thanks so much for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.